60 Minutes correspondent Steve Kroft went inside the FBI's 16-year manhunt for James Whitey Bulger. The search ended in 2011 when agents found the mobster and his girlfriend living in an apartment building in Santa Monica, California.
Bulger and Catherine Greig went by the aliases Charlie and Carol Gasco until the FBI got a tip. Agent Scott Gargariola set up a ruse with their landlord, Josh Bond, and it ended one of the most embarrassing episodes in the Bureau's history.
Bond told the FBI he wasn't going to knock on the Gasco's door because there was a note posted expressly asking people not to bother them. Carol had told neighbors that Charlie was showing signs of dementia.
So we were back there.
So Gargariola devised a ruse involving the Gasco's storage locker in the garage.
It had the name Gasco across it, and apartment 303.
He had the manager called to tell them that their locker had been broken into and that he needed someone to come down to see if anything was missing. Carol Gasco said her husband would be right down.
We just rushed him.
You mean guns out, FBI,
Sure.
don't move?
Gave the words, hey, FBI, get your hands up. And hands went up right away. And then at that moment, we told him to get down on his knees, and he gave us, he gave us a, I ain't getting down on my effing knees.
Didn't want to get his pants dirty.
Didn't want to get his pants dirty. You know, wearing white and seeing the oil on the ground, I guess he didn't want to get down in oil.
Even at 81, this was a man used to being in control.
I asked him to identify himself, and that didn't go over well. He asked me to effing identify myself, which I did. And I asked him, I said, are you Whitey Bulger? He said, yes. Just about that moment, someone catches my attention from a few feet away by the elevator shaft.
It was Janice Goodwin from the third floor coming to do her laundry.
And I said, excuse me, I think I can help you. This man has dementia, so if he's acting oddly, you know, that could be why.
Immediately what flashed through my mind is, oh my God, I just arrested an 81-year-old man with Alzheimer's who thinks he's Whitey Bulger. What is he gonna tell me next? He's Elvis? So I said, do me a favor. I said, this woman over here says you have a touch of Alzheimer's. He said, don't listen to her, she's effing nuts. He says, I'm James Bulger.
A few minutes later, he confirmed it, signing a consent form allowing the FBI to search his apartment.
As he's signing, he says, that's the first time I've signed that name in a long time.
There was a feeling of resignation?
I don't think he had it. I did ask him, I said, hey, Whitey, I said, aren't you relieved that you don't have to look over your shoulder anymore and you know, it's come to an end? And he said, are you nuts?
See, good effing morning.
Good effing morning.
There's a lot of effing in that clip.
Effing weekend or whatever. Yeah. So what surprised you about this? He did or did not think that he was going to get caught in the end, but he became #1 on the most wanted list after Osama bin Laden.
I think that was when things started to change. He became much more reclusive at the end. And the FBI believes it's because he knew that when Osama bin Laden was killed and he moved up to #1, then the whole game changed. And I mean, he'd been on America's Most Wanted something like 23 times, and they'd never really, come close or gotten that many tips about him.
Has he said anything? Has anybody gotten to him? Is he talking about what happened to him himself?
He talked to the FBI agents.
Only the FBI, the guys you talked to.
Coming back. And they said he was very talkative. They thought, he'd been cooped up in the apartment with his wife for 16 years.
Yeah.
He was happy to talk to somebody about almost anything.
You point out that they think. you point out that they, he'd forgotten in some ways how to be a criminal. I mean, that's why eventually he got caught, right?
Yeah, and I think he just. My guess is he was probably grumpy because he didn't have any outlet to get rid of all these hostilities that he had before. He could just go out and kill somebody, but he was so obsessed with not violating the law and not drawing any attention to himself that he just kind of.
And fascinating that the way they actually got to him was his girlfriend, Catherine Greig, discovering what about her?
The pictures. I mean, they started looking. And checking with doctors because they'd heard she had plastic surgery and had breast implants, and they have serial numbers. Mm-hmm. And they thought maybe if she had died, it would turn up, or if Whitey had killed her, it would turn up, but she'd be a Jane Doe someplace. Mm-hmm. And they got these pictures, these plastic surgery pictures.
So she's in prison for 8 years, I guess.
Right.
What is it that interests you about him?
Well, I thought that just the 16 years on the lam. I mean, here's a guy we had 16 years to tell his story. What I wanted to know about when he got caught was like, how did you do it?
Yes.
And he was very clever. And the FBI said he was not your normal fugitive. For one thing, he was very smart. He got, he found he would befriend these people that you would find on the promenade, alcoholics mostly. And he would look for people that looked like him. And he found this guy, James Lawler. And he made himself look like Lawler. Grew a beard, and he got Lawler to give him his ID, sell him his ID. Whitey put him up in a hotel for a number of years, and to kind of look after him because he had a Social Security card, he had a driver's license, and all these things that Whitey might need to move around town.
Did he have a lot of money with him?
They say about $800,000, and he said, he asked him, he said, how much you have? And he said, we found $800,000. He said, really, that much? That's more than I thought I had.
Yeah.
He said, should have been here a couple of years ago.
Well, incredible reporting and storytelling, an amazing piece. Steve Kroft, great to have you here.